The folks at Byron Seeds believe organic requires a different perspective, plan, and approach. Organic isn't simply a different type of product or even a different way of farming. It's a different way of thinking, planning, commitment. It's a different philosophy on how to feed the world. Many won't understand, but the people at Byron Seeds do. We're owned by organic dairy farmers. We not only have the product, but we plan, manage, and execute organic. We speak your language, we share your struggles, and we laud your successes. Organic isn't a way of doing business, it's a community. We learn from each other. We're in this together. We'd be glad to talk cropping plans, management systems, the road to profitability. We understand what you're trying to do. We're farmers just like you. Visit us at byronseeds.net or give us a call at 800-801-3596. And thanks to Byron Seeds.
You're listening to Rooted in Organic Podcast. I'm Mike Klein, and along with Brian Wood, we are in Shreve, Ohio, on Alan and DeAnna Weaver's dairy farm. Alan and DeAnna, Alan has been a longtime friend of mine. We actually played softball together as teenagers, and then fast forward, he became a dairy farmer. But the reason we're sitting down with them is they have a very unique situation. They did not grow up on dairy farms, really. And then bought a farm on the open market and started a dairy farm. And it's a really inspiring story of what is possible. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit down with us and share your story. And Alan, can you start with kind of your background as a kid growing up?
Yeah, as a little kid, my mom and dad were on a dairy farm. They were renting a dairy farm, a small dairy farm, milking 10 to 12 cows by hand. And I have a lot of good memories. I remember walking behind Dad on the plow, walking miles behind his plow, and just being out there. And when I was about 10 or 12 years old, they had to get rid of the farm, or you had to get off the farm. The landowner's son wanted to go on it, so they had to sell out. And we were off the farm, and I got a job when I got older and got married, and we had 5 children. I was working for my father-in-law in his welding shop, and I always had this in the back of my mind that I might like to go farming someday. But I always thought it was just, there's no farm in the family. It's not going to happen, but I always enjoyed watching people out in the field, doing field work with horses and farming. So then we got to know Tim Klein, David Hirschberger, some friends of ours, and they were so excited about farming. And, we kind of asked them, would it be possible for us to go buy a farm and start farming? They were like, yes, you can do that. So we kind of diggered around for a while, a couple of years, till we thought about renting a farm. That really didn't suit us very well, so we found a farm that was available. We bought the farm, and we had no experience of any field work, anything like that, so when we started, we bought 75 cows. 75 cows, and they all freshened in the spring. So we really did not quite know what we were getting into that first year. But we knew we were farming. That's what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Can we take a step back, and DeAnna, can you give a little bit of your background, that what got you, because it takes a team. It doesn't work if one person wants to go farm and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, I have good memories of going on Grandpa's farm, and now it's Uncle Paul's farm, and that was always fun to be there. And I think the hay rides we took, and it was always inspiring. And then the Klein family probably was they were enthused about farming, and it was just, Alan wanted to go farming, and I thought it would be fun to try it. But we didn't quite know what we were getting into probably, but we enjoy it.
When she was growing up, she always had a lot of horseback riding. She was involved with animals. She always liked animals when she was growing up too. So
that's how do I want to say, when you said the Klein family, I want to clarify that it was not me that inspired you guys to go farming.
Well, you were there to help us, sort of.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually,
yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Anne and Emily and Katie, yeah, they definitely helped.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you find out about this farm being for sale?
I was out on a job. I was doing construction out on a job, and I seen this flyer of a farm that's on public auction. And I asked the guy, "Where's that farm at?" And he said, "Well, it's out in the Shreve area." So I asked him if it's available, and he said, "Well, it's sold already." It was an old flyer laying around there. But he said, "My son-in-law is moving out. You can buy his farm." And that evening, I came out here, and I talked with Ezra, and he said, "Yeah, you're going to sell that eventually, but they're not quite sure when." So it went about 3 years before they actually sold it, and we.
Oh, it was that long.
Yeah. So that's how we got into looking at this farm. Just by word of mouth, we found out that he was going to sell it.
Was he dairy farming here before you bought it?
Yeah. Yep. He was an OE shipper here.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he moved to New York, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Moved to New York and took all his cows and everything along, so we had to start completely over with everything.
Mm-hmm. So when you finally found a farm, and did you have like an agreement with him for that 3-year period, or were you in limbo for the 3 years until he actually moved?
Well, we were just kind of sitting in limbo. He said we're going to have the first chance, but we still didn't know for sure if we were going to get it. So, and when he bought the farm up in New York, he told us we can have it now. So we weren't sure if we were going to get it or not.
Mm-hmm. And how many acres is this?
102.
102 acres. And then you rent land around here, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of state was the farm in? Well, I guess what year was that? And then what kind of state did you, I'm talking facilities. I know we'll get into like buying cows and that kind of stuff, but like what were you coming into? What was the infrastructure like?
Well, the fields were probably all in grass. A few of them he had corn in, but most of it wasn't grass. He had a 49 cows tie stall barn where he milked in, and a nice horse barn and everything we had built here. So we didn't really want to go with the tie stalls. So before we did anything, we put the parlor in, took the tie stalls out, and kind of went from there.
How did you find your cows?
Mose Hirschberger from Mount Hope. He's son of a wheeler dealer, and I talked to him, and he said, we'll find some cows. Then he found Mike Kessel and knew he was selling out, so we went and looked at cows, and they were only about 5 miles from here. So we bought them, and he had to keep them for a while. They were all dry at the time until we were ready to get going here.
Because the farm was certified organic, but the cows you were buying were conventional.
Yes.
So you had to, as soon as you got the cows, you started that transition,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Because if I remember right, I actually took you and Mose down to Walhunding to look at a herd of cows, and we were walking around the field, and Mose goes, I don't see a cow that I would want.
Yeah. He said there's no juice there. So he was a good cow guy, and I kind of depended on him to help me with that.
And it worked out really well that Mike's cows were this close. The getting into, once the cows were here in that transition year, not only are you learning to be dairy farmers, but you're transitioning cows, selling conventional milk with organic inputs.
Before I always love the first night that the cow shows up. I'm sure you guys don't but there's a little bit of misery loves company type thing. So you built the parlor and brought cows in and had never really milked in a modern day. You said you hand milk growing up.
Yeah.
What was that first night?
It was pretty interesting. I mean, the cows were starting to become freshening, and we did not have the parlor ready yet. So we just had a makeshift setup in the shed to milk our cows in buckets. And I think we had 18 cows fresh before we had our powder ready. And I know Tim Klein, he said he'll be out here to help, so he came out and helped us, and it was pretty interesting, yeah. But, yeah, after that, we just kind of took it from there, and that first year, we had an agreement with a large local cheese factory to take our milk, and then for 1 year, and then we said we're going to ship to Organic Valley. He said, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. And we were about 2 months in, we got a letter from them telling us that we're not going to take your milk anymore. You're not going to stay here, so we don't need the milk. Everybody was full of milk, and they're going to drop us. So I didn't know what to do. I called Mike Klein, and he started looking for places to take our milk, and nobody wanted it. He finally found a small cheese house not too far from here that said they'll take it, and yeah, they took it. They didn't pay a lot, but they took it, and we got the money out of it. So that was our first year. It was quite interesting. Mm-hmm. And I still remember where I was and what I was doing when that first Organic Valley milk truck came into our lane. And I knew I cried right there, because I knew that was our only hope of making it on this farm. I mean, we were going nowhere fast before that.
Mm-hmm. What year was that you actually got the cows?
In 2015.
2015.
And in March of 2016, we got on the Organic Valley truck.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Did you know you wanted to go organic?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the only way we were planning on doing it. Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
But having to transition that herd of cows, that sets you back significantly from what you thought originally, because I'm guessing you were thinking shipping organic milk right out of the gate. And I just remember when you called and, we won't have a market for the milk. And at that time, if you had a market for the milk, you stayed with that market, because there was nobody looking for milk. And there was actually a chance that it was all going to end right there, simply because of not finding. I know you didn't get paid much, but getting paid a little is
better than nothing.
A lot more than nothing.
Yep. So. Yeah, we piled up a big debt that first year.
Mm-hmm. And you said you bought 75 cows in the beginning, so you've been around that number ever since?
Yeah. We dropped a little bit after the first 2 years. We didn't have any calves or new stock coming in, but we kind of stayed with that number for a while until the last 2-3 years. We went up to about 80 and 90 cows right now.
So when you look back, and I'm sure that looking back on that first year, it doesn't look as bad anymore as it did. Like, were there times when you were just ready to throw in the towel?
I can't say we just wanted to throw a towel in, but there were times where we just had to hold hands and say we just got to work through it. It's going to get better. Mm-hmm. We had faith that it's going to get better, and it did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We weren't quite sure how, but yeah. I remember that after the first year, my accountant, we were talking about this, and he said, that's the best thing that's ever happened to you. That you didn't have a very good first year. I was like, well, how come? Well, you're going to learn so much from this. You're going to get better at everything. I don't know if I got better at everything, but things have gone better since then. And I think, looking back, I think it's true what he said.
Mm-hmm. What was the biggest surprise that I mean, when I look at wanting to milk cows, like still have this dream but I see the romantic side of farming. I don't see the 365 twice a day. So what was the biggest thing that you didn't expect?
I knew I had a good wife, but I didn't know that he would support me the way she did when things weren't going good. So that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
That and just taking care of the cows. I mean, I was so new to it. There was a lot of things happened that I didn't know can happen to a cow. That was probably the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
All the sick calves we had, and a lot. I mean, to think this spring we would have 75 fresh cows, that would just be crazy. But we didn't really know that we just had 75 cows that freshened, and we had 75 calves.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise for me,
Yeah.
but it was just, the kids helped and everything worked out.
It was probably good that you didn't know everything
Yes.
that was going to happen, because it would have looked really overwhelming.
Yes.
Where did you go for, like, learning the things you didn't know could go wrong with a cow, to figuring out what you had to do to get through that?
Well, probably the biggest help for us was having a mentor, and Tim Klein was the mentor. I mean, I would call him every day, maybe a couple times a day that first year. Just, what are we going to do now? Everything was so new to us. And I still remember the one time I called him, the cows were out in our yard last night. He said, welcome to dairy farming.
But at least they only come out when it's muddy.
Yeah. So, I didn't always like what he told me, but it was always good advice. And he didn't try to make it sound good and anything, but it's just the way it is on the dairy farm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of help. Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, we wouldn't be farming if it wouldn't be for Tim Klein. I mean, that, and then we were about 2 years in. We didn't know what we were doing, or where we were going, I guess I should say. We knew we were farming. We didn't know where we were going backwards or forwards. We didn't do our paperwork. We didn't know how to do it, really. So we got 3 guys in, 3 local dairy farmers in, help us with that. Write everything down and how to do it. We did that for 3 years. Keep track of everything. So now we can see where we're going, exactly where we're going, and that is so huge. It gives you confidence to make decisions over those numbers, and that was huge for us.
Mm-hmm. And you were seeing progress through those 3 years?
We were, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And they really encouraged us to just don't make a lot of big changes, just keep on going, and just build confidence, basically what it did for us, and where we could actually see what's happening, and we are moving forward. On paper, with our numbers, we're getting ahead, and we can just kind of go from there. It was huge.
No, I'm just like thinking, like the debt load that you started out with, and then started with a rough first year. So at what point did you feel that you're making progress and you could breathe?
Or we could see a little bit of light.
A little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
I think it was probably after about 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, Ezra told us, the guy we bought the farm with, he said, the first 3 years we're probably going to break even. If you break even the first 3 years, you're doing good. And then 5 years before you can see progress. And that's exactly what we saw. I didn't, when he told me that, I was like, well, we're going to make money right from the start. Yeah, we had to learn a lot of things. I mean, we were making some money. We were moving ahead, but.
Mm-hmm. So was the cropping a lot to get used to, more so than the cows, or was that less of a learning curve?
Probably a little less of a learning curve to get the field work done. It's what I really like to do, go out in the field and do that. So, but the cows and the pasture, the grazing part of it is where I had to learn a lot. I think it's where I learned the most since we're farming. And then I think it's where I still have the most to learn. It's sky's the limit when it comes to grazing, I think. Mm-hmm. There's a lot out there to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Are you enjoying it?
We are.
Yeah, definitely are.
Mm-hmm. Because it's been really exciting to see the progress that has happened over, well, I guess now it'd be 10 years. You know, you build a new freestall barn, your facilities, really nice facilities, your herd looks good. It's really exciting to see, you know, what can be done. But what advice would you have if somebody were to want to do the same thing? I'm sure you could really help somebody with that.
I mean, probably the biggest thing would be get other people involved to help you. I mean, that's what we tried to do, get people that are smarter than I am to help us. And that would be my first advice, to get more people involved that know what's going on. And take care of the small things. The big stuff looks huge, but that's not really the problem usually. If you take care of the small stuff here and there, that takes care of the big problems. Which it's kind of hard to do sometimes, but that's very important.
And I assume, like, you said the numbers, like when you're talking that, I'm assuming you're talking your financial progress over that time. You know, you say it takes that first 3 years of breaking even, hopefully breaking even, and then 5 years making some progress. It's when you take a full step back, how you make progress is send more milk out the driveway or get a better pay price. The dollar's coming in. But what you just said of it's the small things that lead to those big things. What are some of those small things? Because this is something that we see day after day after day after day is, you know, it's the little things in management of a dairy farm that lead to a profitable dairy farm. But sometimes it's hard to say to a farmer, just do this little thing and it'll turn into better stuff over here. But in your learning curve, what were some of those little things that led to progress?
I think keeping our cows fed. I didn't realize how important that is to start with. But keeping those cows full at all time for better production. Milk price, we hardly ever talk about that here at home. People ask me, what are you getting for your milk? I don't know. It's just, we can't control that, so I don't worry about it. There's stuff out on the farm that I can control and do. That's where I focus on. I mean, just taking care of your pastures is probably the smallest thing. Clipping your pastures if it's time. Making your hay on time. It's been one of the biggest things to do, I think. Even maybe you have to sacrifice a little bit at something else, but make your hay on time so you have quality feed. And increase our cow numbers has been huge. I think we can maximize our acreage by having more cattle out here. We have to buy some feed, but if we're still getting more off of our farm, maximizing our farm, I think it's important. And we're not leaving anything out there on the table.
I think that's one of, I collect financial numbers from farmers, and and it's different for every farm, what that exact number is. I mean, I have a ballpark that I'm thinking for the amount of, I just say family members that are being supported by a certain number of cows. And as far as like that forward progress, when that number is below that threshold for that farm, there is not forward progress. And it's hard to say that to people that have milked 35 cows for forever,
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
And then you're looking at, well, you want to turn the farm over to the next generation, or you want to make an investment in facilities or whatever it is. And it's a tough conversation to say, you need to milk more cows to be able to do that. But it's just the numbers.
Yeah. So right now we are talking about we've got 5 children. The 3 oldest are married, and we got the 2 boys at home. Wesley's 17. He's working off the farm in a concrete crew. And Mike is 14 and he's helping at home. But we're thinking about keeping Wesley at home now, adding more cows, and try to get ready for transitioning to the next generation. We're not ready to do that now yet, but we're looking to the future. We're trying to set everything up where we're able to do that.
It's crazy to think that you started this 10 years ago, but you're already putting the wheels in motion, because you know how fast the last 10 years went. The next 10 years are not going to go slower. So I think it is so exciting to see you already setting it up for the next generation to succeed. Building your barn so that you can add the cow numbers to bring him back home, because, we had this conversation numerous times already with, there is a number that you're going to need to milk in order to have another full-time employee there. You can't, when I see these succession plans happening with 50 cows, they want to bring a daughter and son-in-law home and milk 50 cows. You can't feed another family on the same amount that you fed your family on, so where is that number? And I think it's really exciting to see already putting that in motion.
Yeah, we don't know where it's going to lead to, but we're thinking about it and see what we want to do and go from there.
So how long, because you are now grass-fed.
Yes.
So is it 3 years that you've been grass-fed? So, in talking with Gene DeBruin, your nutritionist, when you had first started talking about that, I had talked to Gene and he said, once things are finally going really well, not quite sure, do you want to go to grass-fed right now? And I talked to Gene and he's like, they can do it. There's no doubt they can do it. I'm like, all right, that's good enough for me. But you finally were hitting your stride. The cows were producing. Things were going well. What were you just getting bored because things were going well and you needed another fresh challenge? Or what made you decide to move in that direction?
Well, one thing was, when we think about the next generation coming on, the workload, where we got to milk more cows, and being grass-fed, you have to, it's just a lot less field work for us, especially with farming with horses. So that was one thing. A lot of people don't want to be on the farm because it's too much work. And if we can reduce the workload, I think it helps to keep the young people on the farm. So that was a big thing for us to do that. And I like the idea of not having my fields covered in grass at all time, not plowing as much and doing stuff like that.
What was the biggest learning curve? We went through the whole learning curve of getting into farming in the first place. But then what was that learning curve for going from grain-fed to grass-fed?
It wasn't quite as huge as I thought it might be. But the biggest thing was making quality hay. We had to really get on that and push that hard to make our hay on time. Gene DeBruin really helped us with that, to focus on that, and when we start cutting hay and stuff like that. So that was probably the biggest thing for us. And keeping our cows full is more important when you're grass fed. You can't just shovel corn in there. So we always keep hay in the barn at all times when we bring them into milk, so they can eat hay while they're in the barn, and then before we take them out. We didn't do that to start, and it's very important, I think.
Were there surprises, like how the cows responded to grass fed, or what you were not feeding 20 pounds of grain either. You were a low grain operation to begin with. So were you surprised with how well or how bad they responded?
Not really. The cows didn't really change a whole lot. It dropped about 15% in production.
Okay.
We expected that, and that's kind of where our biggest challenge is getting the cows bred. for us right now. So we're working on that. And
I've actually heard that quite a bit, especially when you're trying to get cows bred when it's still warm. A little bit low in energy, and they just don't want to breed.
It gets pretty interesting sometimes, yeah.
Would you go back to grain? Or you?
As long as we have a market for grass, that's where we want to stay at. I wouldn't want to go back.
What is your hay cutting routine? You said timely. I know everybody, every 28 days, every 30 days, watch for this, whatever, hay in a day. I've heard all the things. What is your routine?
We try to go 28 to 30 days. It depends on the weather. Sometimes you want to wait a little bit longer if it's cooler, or if it's warmer, you got to go earlier. Kind of watch the hay. It's kind of a big thing for us. You can't just read a book and go by that book all the time.
And do you make it all baleage or some dry or?
We do baleage on everything.
Everything, okay.
Yeah. Yep. We do a little bit of hay in a day, but generally not a lot. Just depends on if we have one day to do it, we'll try to do it. But if we have 2 days, we'll mow it one day and bale it the next day normally.
Do you have alfalfa in your hay seedings, or is it more clover?
Alfalfa.
Alfalfa.
Alfalfa and grass.
Okay.
We kind of put a mixture in, and we like that. Works pretty good.
How many pounds of alfalfa is in your seedings?
Normally 18 to 20 pounds, and about 4 pounds of grass.
Okay.
Different grasses. We don't put any clover in.
And you would graze that as well?
Not most of our hay fields.
Okay.
We can't get to them. They're
I see.
Across the road. I'd like to right now, but we can't get to them.
I did, driving up the road, you did see those nice alfalfa fields right across the road from you. So in your rotation, so when you go into a hay seeding, do you raise like a sorghum or a sorghum sedan or some summer annual to renovate your fields? Or what do you use?
We have done that, but the last couple of years we took a hay field that we had hardly any alfalfa left, so we just took the rototiller in August, tilled it up, and just planted straight right back to alfalfa and grass. Last year it worked pretty good, but this year we didn't have any rain after we planted it, and don't look too good, so we'll have to see what happens, I guess. Since we got the rain, it's just sprouting a little bit now, but it might be too late. So, and I think I'm going to try that some more. I kind of like that.
Is most of your alfalfa going in that stand when you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not much left.
Okay. So, interesting.
I know the books say you can't do that, but sometimes I don't go by the book, I guess. So.
Did you say in there how long is that before you're doing the rotating? I didn't.
Oh, you mean
years?
Oh, it depends. I mean, most of them we have for 6 or 8 years, I think.
Okay. Yep.
Since we're not doing corn, we keep them longer, and it kind of works for us, yeah.
Do you test your forages then?
We do.
And then you have a TMR, so do you try to balance your ration with the hay that you have for the winter season?
Yeah. Our feed guy tests all our hay, and it kind of tells us which mixes to put in, which bales to put in, and kind of balance it. Yeah, our TMR, we really enjoy that. We really like that. I hate to do it without a TMR. I mean, since we used TMR, our profits have gone up.
Oh, really?
I really think it helps, yeah.
Because it's with the TMR, you can really balance your ration with grass. I mean, you can put in a good bale and then a lesser bale, and the bossy cows are going to get all the good hay, and the timid ones will get the next bale. It's hard. Not saying that it can't be done, but I have seen, especially in grass-fed, actually, I'm a bigger fan of the TMR in grass-fed than I am anywhere else.
Okay.
Just because of seeing what you can do with, and especially if you have a sorghum or a summer annual of some sorts to mix in, you can control MUNs so much better with that. So you don't. That's the other problem that I see with grass-fed is, you're running, well, MUN is the milk urea nitrogen in a cow, and if that hits 20, she's not going to breed.
Yeah.
And when your grass is really, really nice or your hay is really, really good, that's what's going to happen. And with the TMR, you can really get your protein levels down to where the cows will breed and keep those MUNs down.
Yep. It really helps in our waste. We don't have much wasted hay where you pull out into the manure and get to manure and everything. It's been good for us.
How many stalls are in your new freestall barn?
93.
93.
And when did you build that barn?
In 2022.
Okay, so you would have been just as you were going grass-fed?
Yes, just as we were going grass-fed.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the better investments we ever made. Just building that barn. We always struggled with some ag cell. We were kind of crowded in the old barn, and it's coming down. It's been coming down ever since we built that barn, and cows are a lot cleaner. We can bring them in the summertime when it's warm and put them in there, and it's a lot cooler for them.
Mm-hmm. Did you see a production increase once they were in that barn?
We did.
Just was it cow comfort?
The first week it went up 5 pounds.
Yeah, 5 pounds will pay for the barn before too long.
Yep, it's been big for us.
I know when I was here earlier this summer, and there was a breeze, but with cows standing, you were talking about putting fans in the barn, and we had Maynard, Melanie was with me, and what we saw is the wind came in across the cows that were eating at the bunk, and the wind went over top so that they didn't want to lay down in the free stalls behind because they were blocking the wind. And I just found that so interesting that Maynard was the one that caught that and pointed that out and what you can do with fans. So I have to show you, he sent me pictures of the fans that he put in, and he said, Alan needs to get these fans.
Yeah,
so
we're still talking about we need to do something about that.
Yeah, it's and the the last couple of summers have been so unusually warm, and for grass fed with going for that 60% dry matter, you are asking the cows to be out in the heat a little bit more, and if you can bring them in, cool them down, it's amazing what that does to milk production.
Yeah. What do you get for, you got jerseys, so what are you getting for production as well as components?
We run about 9,000 pounds per cow per year, and average for a year is about 5 in butter fat, and I can't even tell you what our protein's at. I don't really look at those numbers a whole lot, to tell you the truth.
I'm just doing some math in my head. It's a nice. I know you don't know what your milk price is, but it's up there.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah.
I know. So you said you dropped 15% in production when you went fully grass-fed, and now you've been grass-fed. One thing I've noticed in working with farmers that are grass-fed is it usually takes that 2 to 3 year mark, and you'll start to recover some of that initial drop in production. Have you seen that start to recover, or have you stayed?
We've kind of stayed the same for the most part since we were on grass. This year has been a little bit better. We had really good rain in the spring and had good pasture all years. But I'd like to see that for a couple of years before I can really say that we have gained everything back. But here's the year we have, so we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Did you have an uptick in components when you went grass?
Yes.
Okay.
We did, yeah.
So you lost 15%, but you gained some components. As far as talking about financials, would you say it is more profitable on the grass-fed? Take all the workload and all that away and just look at straight net income. Is grass-fed more profitable for you than regular milk?
I would say it is. I mean, our numbers, we keep pretty good track of everything, and our profits have been better since we're on grass. And we're in a in a circle, crop circle, or a profit circle, was about 10 other farmers, and a few of them have gone grass also, and I can say the same thing with them too.
Okay. So you have seen a financial increase. I think those profit circles with farmers sharing financials and helping each other out has been, 25 years ago in the Amish community, you did not have that. You did not talk about finances. And what I have seen unbelievable growth on farms just from that, because face it, everybody's a little bit competitive. And if you're way down on that list, you want to try to get up there. And it's not like you're going to be judged by anybody. They're there to help everybody. I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing.
It's been a big help for us. I think we're about 6 years into doing that, so I would hate to do without it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's getting harder and harder to stay on a farm, just in general. And in order to keep people on the farm, money isn't everything, but it sure helps.
You have to make some money doing it, yeah.
And so, it makes a ton of sense that the profit circle, where you're trying to improve everybody, all your peers' profitability, it helps keep people on the farm too.
It does. And I think it's huge for the next generation too, if they can see what they can actually do on the farm.
Yep.
I think it's that combination you talked to earlier about the workload. Like you can't drive your kids off the farm by working them to death in their teenage years. They've got some other things they like to do, but you also have to have enough money so it's enticing to them. It doesn't matter how much you love farming. If there's no money there, that love, it'll probably never quite translate to that next generation, because you could never do anything because you never had any money.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
There was a farmer up in Michigan that I talked to that was in a profit circle too, and it was 5, 6 years ago when the milk price was lower and it was kind of tougher times and feed prices were higher and so on and so forth. And he said, I look at my numbers and, I love farming, and, right now it's a struggle. So my love for farming cost is significantly higher right now than it was any years in the past. I was like, that's a new one. I've never incorporated the love for farming cost into my financial numbers.
So you have good hopes that the next generation wants to continue?
Right now we do, yeah.
Awesome.
The biggest rewarding thing for us right now is the grandchildren coming home. They want to go out, help milking the cows. And the married children want to come home and help make hay. So that's very rewarding for us at this point right now.
That is rewarding right there. As you get older, all of a sudden, there's the rewarding things that you would have never thought about when you were younger. Yeah, it's there. It's really cool.
So, looking back at, you grew up on a small 10-cow operation on your grandpa's farm, or where I'm going with this is like what it takes to survive on a farm has changed over time, whether it be the style of farming or the amount of cows or the market you ship into. So when you're thinking about the next generation, obviously you've made some investments into facilities and things like that, but what do you foresee the next generation or on down needing to do to continue to survive farming? What changes do you see coming? I know that's a big question.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think keeping our inputs down, or our cost of operation, if that makes any sense, but keeping our equipment costs lower, or keep it down, not buying big equipment and not trying to go bigger at that part, I think it's going to be huge, because it seems that stuff gets more expensive, you can't do it. Try to get more of our fields without using expensive equipment. I think it's going to be important down the road.
That takes me back to Wendell Berry and the eyes to acres ratio, and part of that was he kept on saying, you buy the next new bigger tractor, and in order to afford that, you have to buy some more acres to pay for it, and then you need a bigger tractor to cover the extra acres.
It's never ending.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, if you get into that, yeah.
Yep.
It's the piece of cake and milk. You have milk left over, so you add a piece of cake, and then you run out of milk, and then you've got to add more milk, and then it just keeps going until you're like, how many pieces of cake did I eat?
Yeah.
What is your plan as far as like Wesley comes home? Are you going to have to up your cow numbers? Are you planning to up to 90 cows, 100 cows? Where's the
we are planning on adding hopefully 15 to 20 cows to 110 or whatever we get to, I think. Yeah, that's the plan now, to do that. We're renting a little more land. We're transitioning more acreage from the neighbor to try to make more feed to add the cows that we added on.
What percentage of your feed would you raise if, let's say you're up to 110 cows? Can you still raise majority of your feed?
Yeah, hopefully with the new acreage upward transition, we're hoping we can, on an average year, we can raise probably everything.
Okay.
Is what our plan is.
Even grass-fed. And that was where I'm going with that question is, compared to grain-fed, I know it just requires more forage, and the acres to cows has to adjust. What have you seen as far as like need for feed compared to the land you have?
Well, what has happened for us in the last 3 years, we have gone from 60 to 70 cows to 90 cows. We didn't increase our acres. We're buying less feed now than we were 3-4 years ago with less cows. The biggest thing for that, I think, is Alvin Peachy came in and tested our soils, and we recommended the fertilizer, what to put on. So we did put that on, and our yields have just gone up significantly. That's been huge for us too. And since we started doing that, especially in our hay fields, the production went up a lot. And our pastures too. And managing our pasture a little bit different, get more yield off.
So how do you manage your pastures? What is your average, do you have set paddocks? Do you back fence, just cross fence? How does your grazing system work?
We don't do any back fencing. We're going to plan on doing that next year. We just learned from Alvin Peachy that we should be doing that. We have small, narrow paddocks, then we put a cross wire in. Every 12 hours, we give them a new break. And our rotation's 40 days.
Okay.
35 to 40 days is what we try to do, is where we're at most of the year. In the spring, it's not that much, but and having a little longer, a little taller, it's just we can get more. I feel we can get more yield off that way. It's just little things like that has helped us.
I back fenced the last 2 years now. I cannot believe the difference. I mean, if you don't have them on anything after the 3rd day, because that's when the regrowth happens. When you put them in the 4th and 5th day, look where they graze. All the way in the back, the stuff that's just grew half an inch and tastes amazing. That really does help. It's kind of a pain, but
I know that's why we haven't done it. But that's another reason to bring Wesley home, to hope we can help manage the pasture a little better.
I was up in Michigan, and I can't remember his name, but he cross fences, and he has those spiky wheels. That is slick, with a spool on either end. So he'll just grab one spool and walk down, like release it and then pull it at an angle, hang it up, go over and get the other side, and just the wheels just.
That's what I'm looking into doing.
Really cool. Those. I mean, I've seen them, but I've actually never seen them in action, and it's like that does beat having 6 step-in fence posts under the armpit, and then it pinches on the inside of your black and blue marks on the inside of your arm.
I know all about it. Yep.
So what would your advice be if somebody came to you and said, we're thinking about doing this? What would would you encourage them to do it?
I would. I would ask them, is your heart really into farming? It has to be, I think. And if your heart is into farming and your family wants to go farm, which is very important, you will figure out a way how to make it work with help from other people and get people involved.
But it's got to be a team effort.
It has to be.
Yeah. Well, I just find it really encouraging because we had Melissa Weiland on who, started a dairy farm in 10 days.
Wow.
Now she grew up, family farm and all that. But, where there's a will, there's a way. But there has to be, I don't know if you should say passion, but there needs to be that drive and that desire to see it through. Because I'm sure there were plenty of dark days and sleepless nights and,
Yes.
You didn't get a new barn and you didn't get this thing rolling by being lazy. I can guarantee you that.
I remember that the first 3 months, I think, or so, I lost 20 pounds.
Oh, my God.
Not that I didn't, not that I couldn't lose it, I had to lose it, but yeah, it was over. We were overwhelmed. I wouldn't want to keep on doing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, things changed and yeah, I didn't get a lot of sleep and it was.
Yeah. Well, this has been really fun to really hear, your story. There's so much. I mean, I was involved once you started going organic and all that, but I still never really knew all the things that went into this. So this is really cool. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and telling your story. And if anybody wants to start a dairy farm, I'm going to send them your way.
Oh, I don't know.
Yep. You can at least tell them what to not do, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Sometimes that's the best advice, is what to not do. So, but thank you so much for Alan and DeAnna.